Welcome to today's Zoom Leadership Locker Room. My name is David Rutz. Today's locker room is titled Assignments. Really? How does that lead to success? And that's what we're going to focus on today. We've got some updates as well. But I want to start by just acknowledging all of you as leaders. Thank you so much for all you're doing for our company. Thank you so much for volunteering and raising your hand. You're not on a salary. You're on a pay for performance compensation plan. So many of you put in a lot of time and you're not getting a lot of pay yet. I remember when I first started in this industry years ago, someone told me, you could go make more. This is when minimum wage was $3.35 an hour. They said to me, David, you can make more at Taco Bell than you are in your network marketing business. And they were right for the first few months, right? Because there's no guaranteed income. And I could have got a guaranteed $3.35 an hour in my job. But fortunately, I didn't subscribe to that line of thinking of, I got to get paid something this hour, or it's not worth investing. Otherwise, no one would go to college either. And no one would invest any programs that make them better. And that mindset is what keeps people from getting educated and keeps people from growing and keeps people from getting better. Right. But I encourage you and I applaud all of you to stay the course in that intellectual game of gaining knowledge, gaining experience, because you can't ask for the world to get easier. You can just ask yourself to get better. You can't ask that it gets easier to make money. You just ask yourself to get better. You know, I'm a beginning sailor and I use this so much. Jim Rohn, great legend in the teaching world of personal growth, used an example of sailing long before I ever became a sailor, that you don't change your destination when the winds change. You just learn how to adjust your sails better. So it's not the setting of it's not the direction of the winds, but instead it's the setting of your sails that determines your destination. And it's a great philosophy and it's a neat principle, but in reality, as a sailor, that's true. You know, it doesn't matter where I'm trying to go. If I'm trying to go from my marina to Mackinac Island, I got a bunch of turns to make, but it doesn't matter where the wind's coming. I just decide, okay, if the wind's coming from off my port side, which is the left side of the boat, and it's near the front, but off the left, I got to adjust my sails a certain way if I'm trying to go that way. If I'm trying to go that way, I got to adjust them differently. If I'm trying to go that way, I got to adjust them even differently. The wind doesn't have to change. I have to change. And so I encourage all of you, if you're not earning yet what you want to make, the wins are the wins. And so what can you do to adjust your sales? And I don't mean sales, S-A-L-E-S, although those will improve. I mean sales, S-A-I-L-S, the things that, you know, catch the wind and propel you in the right direction. There's people who've had literally 300 applications to our instant approval funding application over the last 2 weeks since it's launched. Individuals. What are they doing to get 300 people to go apply versus someone who hasn't had anyone apply? Obviously, they've adjusted to the wins, right? We've got other people who are getting big ERC commissions right now. What did they do 6 months ago that's allowing them to make a nice $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 check today? They did things months ago. You know, we've got people who've got deals signed. They're going to make 20, 30, 40 grand for ERCs. They did things months ago, switched their sales, and they didn't allow their lack of knowledge on how to adjust their sales to stop them from keep adjusting. You know, if you go sail with me, being that I don't have the expertise of others, I've got certain wind directions and certain destinations locked in. I know exactly how to set my sails. But if I'm trying to go backwards and the wind's coming from directly behind me and I want to sail right into it, it's not as easy for me. Or if I'm trying to go straight and the wind's directly behind me, it's not as easy. I don't have a big spinnaker sail, that thing that looks like a balloon in the front. So I can't catch wind and just let the wind push me. I got to adjust these rectangular or triangular sails to catch the winds, and I got to spread them out, one going one way, going the other, to try to basically just catch the wind. And I'm not real good at it yet, but I don't look at it and go, I'm not sailing if the wind's at my back. I got to figure it out. I got to keep messing with it. There's something called telltales on a sale. They're little strings. They're actually called telltales. And they're little red strings and green strings that hang from the sale. And if they're waffling down, you haven't caught the wind right. If they're perfectly sideways, yeah, baby, you've got the wind going over the sails perfectly. They're telltales. So I'm always looking at the telltales, seeing how I can adjust. Well, that's the same thing for you. Is what telltales are you looking at? One of the things you can look at most is number of applications by your personally enrolled agents. Those are telltales. If you get an email that says, congratulations, you've got a client, then you know that you're getting some wind behind your sales, right? If your personally enrolled agents are getting that, you know you're making some progress. If people in your team are getting that, you're making progress. If you're not getting any and you personally enrolled aren't, then maybe you're not looking at the direction of the wind. Maybe you're not considering what you've got to do. You have to do certain things, you know? It's a matter of doing, not just being in the right place at the right time. It's taking advantage of that timing. Today's Leadership Live is going to be about assignments. Say what does that have to do with success? And I'll go through it pretty quick. It's a simple concept, but before I get to it, I want to share something. You know, when I was in 8th grade, so I was 12 years old, 13, whatever age that is, 8th grade in middle school, I used to go to school early. Don't remember, my mom must have taken me there. I'm not sure how we did this, but I was one of 4 other kids. We went to school early and I played sports afterward, but we were in the computer club and we were learning how to write basic language, basic programming, you know, if this equals this, then that, you know, line 10, you know, input, what is your name? Question mark, uncolon. And that would be the format. It would put, what is your name on the screen? And they'd enter input. And then I could ask questions like, if name equals David, then comma print, you know, I'd write this little program, just simple programming. But I thought it was unbelievable that you could tell your computer what to do. And it was really fascinating to me. And, you know, I did it as a little club and others do the same thing. And I was in a computer club all the way through high school till I was a junior in high school. And we were learning how to write programs. And I took computer programming class and all this. Why do I say all this? Well, everyone in my school could have. Everyone could have computer class. And I'm not patting myself on the back because guess what? I didn't start a company. I always started a snowblower company. I started a lawn mowing company. I started a coupon book company. I started a t-shirt sales company. I sold bubble gum at school. I sold candy bars at school, but I didn't go start Macintosh. I didn't go start Apple. I didn't go start IBM or Dell or any of those. I missed my timing. Now I look at that and say, how could you miss the timing? Well, I didn't have the maturity in my mind yet to grasp that that would be the future, right? And so I was in 8th grade, 9th grade. Bill Gates saw it enough to leave Harvard. What do you think Bill Gates' friends would have said about him? What do you think Steve Jobs, who left Stanford, dropped out of Stanford to launch Macintosh? What do you think, or Apple, what do you think their friends said? Dude, you're dropping out of Stanford to go start a computer company. No one uses computers, dude. You're dropping out of Harvard to start a computer company, Bill Gates. Nobody uses computer. What are you, ignorant? You fool. Don't you think all their friends said that? They took advantage of their timing. Now, there's for every Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, there's thousands of people who drop out of college and don't have success. So it's not like everyone who drops out of school and starts a business has success. But everyone who takes advantage of their place and timing is successful. And everyone who's not successful didn't take advantage. You, if you're not a multimillionaire today, you did not take advantage of your place and timing. You didn't. You could have started the iPad. You could have. You could have started Chat GPT and charging $10 a month for it. You could have. You could have started Zoom. Why didn't you? I don't know. I didn't either. You could have started a lot of things that you now use every single day, but you chose not to, or you didn't think you were capable of it, or you never even put it on yourself to do it. You never gave yourself the assignment. You see where I'm going here? People are successful. The only difference between financial success or business success and people who aren't is the people who are successful simply give themselves the assignment to go get it done. I see Tony Breland on here. Tony puts Facebook posts up all the time of promoting events, birthdays. She makes graphics. She's given herself the assignment to make graphics and post them. Thank you, Tony. She makes graphics and posts them, recognizing people on their birthday or recognizing anniversaries or promoting calls. She does that for a company Longevity she's with. And it's beautiful. No one told her to do that. She just gave herself that assignment. Bill Gates gave himself the assignment to start a computer company. David Rutz gave himself the assignment to start DAC. You gave yourself an assignment to become a rep and to become an agent and to be on this Zoom. You gave yourself that assignment. But now, what assignment have you given yourself to reach our top ranks? Have you given that assignment yet? And how are you going to do it? What is your plan? So you knew how to be on this Zoom. You gave yourself the assignment to be here, so you're here. A lot of people chose not to, right? So I just left a funeral this morning, and it was an hour and 1 minute from my house when I left an hour ago. And I gave myself the assignment, get home in time to start the Zoom. So on the freeway where it's speed limit 70, I knew if I went 78 for those 13 miles, I'd be here a minute before it starts. And I gave myself the assignment. Did I take a risk of speeding a little? Yeah. And I was hoping for some lights, and I got them. I got here 3 minutes early. I gave myself an assignment to be here on time instead of doing it from my phone. So I say this only because you give yourselves assignment or remove assignments from yourself all the time. So use assignments for yourself and use assignments with your team. And the real angle of this is, as a leader, you need to lead yourself first. So give yourself assignments. I do as well. Give yourself assignments for what you're going to accomplish in your business this week and in this year. Where are you going to be when the ball hits? God willing, we're still here on earth. And some people aren't going to be. I'm not saying from the Zoom, but there's people alive today who don't know it. They're not making it till New Year's Eve. They're not making it. So first of all, we're blessed if we do. Every one of us are blessed if we do. There's nothing promised to anyone. So what assignment do we have to love people and to serve people now while we're here? Live that assignment first. What's your assignment in your relationship with your Savior? Live that assignment first. Be the right person first. Have eternity locked in before we worry about financial security. Have eternity locked in. Right? My belief is what the Bible says, that the only way to have eternity is through him, through Jesus Christ, and through acceptance of him in your heart and in your mind, and verbally saying it and accepting that he come and live within you and you're born again. That's what I believe. The Bible says it. Every religion who says they're Christians, that's the Bible, what it says. And so I believe that. I believe that is the only pathway to God. I'm tolerant of every religion, and I don't have a problem with anyone who doesn't believe that. But my heart weeps because I believe that to be true. So when you believe it to be true, your heart's got to weep when someone isn't necessarily agreeing with that, right? You can't force or pound something in anybody, but you can weep a little bit inside. You can weep a little bit inside, and I do. So I pray for everybody always as a general prayer, an umbrella over all our company and all my family and all my friends, that somehow Jesus taps him on the shoulder and just introduces himself, like I was fortunate to have him introduce himself to me. So eternity matters more. That assignment is the number one assignment, as far as I'm concerned, is our assignment with our faith and our protection through eternity. Then it comes our family. Then the assignment comes down to our leadership, what we're trying to accomplish. And DAC may not be where you want to put your assignment. I hate saying that, but hey, this is not a scarce industry. There's millions of people who are going to come and go through DAC, and hundreds of thousands are going to come and stay. And we've got an opportunity for all of them. But I'm not one of these people who feels you're talking people out of my business. No, I'm asking people to find the assignment that calls them. And I feel called here. If you read on the Facebook, you saw my post yesterday to a friend of mine who's actually a very strong leader in our industry, but doesn't really want to promote business funding because they're expensive. And I get that mentality when you only see one part of it, interest rates and cost, but you don't see the fit of the industry. It's like someone who says buses are really expensive. If you got to take a bus every day, they're a lot more expensive than leasing a car. They're super expensive. But when you got to get to work and you don't have a car, they're not expensive. They're a life-saving, right? So, do you blame the busing company that charges so much for every bus ride? It costs more than a car? No, you say, thank God it's here, public transportation, until someone can get on their feet and buy a car, right? So, and a lot of people don't need a car. They only to work a couple times a week and they're like, well, fine with the bus. So our working capital funding, you see that my assignment is to share my passion. My passion is DAC for you as a rep, agent, and for the customers, any customer we have. That's an assignment. We're talking about our pharmacy prescription plan that's going live. I have an assignment to not get stuck up on making money, not get stuck on making money on other people's dependency on pharmaceutical drugs. I want to have, on top of that, anyone who's got that membership, free programs that discuss how to get off of those pharmaceutical drugs. That matters to me. So that makes me a lot more willing to promote it. You may not have that same bent in you, but I do. So what's your assignment for yourself here? What assignment have you given yourself, and are you accomplishing it? Write an assignment to yourself. Give yourself an assignment to go win with us. If you're here for the long run, then you need to reach our top ranks. Write it down. What do you got to do? How many front lines do you need? What legs qualification do you have to have? Write it down and go get it. It's not that difficult. It's pretty simple. It's a certain number of people who reach certain levels as well. So it's just finding 3 or 4 like-minded people like you who want to accomplish big things with us. And it doesn't matter if they're personally enrolled but they got to be in different legs, right? You need 4 different legs who do it. Or 3 different legs, actually. As long as you have 3 different legs who want to go make some things happen, and you got somewhere in one of those 3 legs, you got one person who's like you, man, you got it. That's it. You don't need to find 1,000. You need to find 3 groups with 1 in each who wants to make to the top rank like you. And that's their assignment. When they give themselves that assignment, they go, that's what I'm doing. I was telling my wife yesterday, Marlo and I were talking about, after Kailani, who's going to be a senior, she's our youngest, she's going to be a senior. When she goes off to college, do we want to start traveling more? What are we going to do? Do we want to travel? I can work remotely. And I said, what's funny is anyone who's an agent at DAC really, really, really has it made. You really do. And what I mean by that is this. At the corporate side, I have to build the team as well, because if we don't have a team, just like you do, if we don't have a team, we don't have revenue, we don't have revenue, we don't have income, we don't have income. How do we cover all the bills? So I got to build a team, but I also get the corporate side. You guys get to build and lead a team. You don't have to worry about the corporate side. You have to trust in the corporate side, but you don't have to worry about managing it, leading it, right? So you have the lifestyle that I don't get to have. I don't get to have that lifestyle. I've given myself the assignment of leading the company, which means I don't have the lifestyle where I can just do whatever I want every day, right? You as an independent rep, once you build your organization to a certain point and you're leading it, you get flexibility that I don't have. You have a better opportunity than me because you have flexibility. And I can tell you, there comes a point when the amount of money you make doesn't change your life, and flexibility matters more than more income. Flexibility matters more than equity in the company. Flexibility matters more than having to be a shareholder. Flexibility matters more than the responsibility of a fire coming and who's going to handle the fire. Flexibility is the greatest currency of all, but it's strangling if you don't have income first or with it. So you want both. And so your assignment, if you accept it, if you agree with it, is to reach the top ranks in our company, because that gives you the flexibility and you get equity at that point. You're given equity that you didn't have to invest in, and you still don't have to manage the company. You'll have to lead your team. But I can't wait to be telling stories of Orlando Darden, who made it to the top ranks and he hasn't recruited anyone. except a handful of people who come to him because he's traveling the world. He's seeing places he never thought he'd see. He's taking his leaders on his team and recognizing them with trips around the world. And no, he's not going to be on the Zoom for the next 2 months because he's reaping the rewards of all the work he did while he was attending all the Zooms before. And I want the same for all of you, right? That's the beauty of this, is you get that. We're not going to put a thumb over and go, hey, now you need to be on the Zooms because we need you telling your story. No, I'd rather tell your story that you're not going to be here because your residual incomes put you in a position you don't need to be. You put in your time, and now you're coming back for guest speaking periodically to inspire others, but you're living the life that we are telling people they can get. There's not many companies where you actually get to live that life without being scolded by the operations of the company for not being there to help continue the growth. And you're making too much for your efforts. No. Nobody ever makes too much for their efforts here. Never. Because performance-based comp plans reward performance appropriately. And if someone's making $1 million a month, they're performing appropriately. If someone's making zero, they're performing appropriately. So I'll never have a problem if you're making $1 million a month, even if I'm not, because you'll be rewarded appropriately, right? And I don't have a problem if you're making zero and I'm not, because you're being rewarded appropriately, right? So just know that we all have that assignment. Now, so the first assignment is, as far as I'm concerned, our eternity. Our second assignment is to our family and to ourself, our health. And our third assignment is to our personal rank in our business, right? God, family, business. And so now we're in our business, and family includes yourself, but now we're in business. The first assignment you have in your business is take care of your own, that you can control. It means your personal production, your personal clients, your personal production, and your personally enrolled agents. The number of agents you have, how you're focused on finding them, recruiting new ones, identifying the right ones, being okay if someone's not interested, not taking it personally, having the right mindset to help people change their line of thinking. At least share what you believe. If they share what you believe, they run with you. That's your first assignment. The next assignment is everyone you personally enroll to ask them to go through the game plan and give them the assignment of doing the game plan that's in the back office. If they don't do that assignment, that's a telltale. Remember the sailing example? That's the telltale. They're not going to probably go off and become a top ranked rep. They're not one of your 3-leg leaders. They might be a person who refers person now and then and does some good thing. But give assignments to sort and look for telltales. I put the sail out on where I think it needs to be. Then I look at the green line and the red line. I look at them for telltales. If the inside line is straight and the outside line is hanging, I know I got to tighten the sail a little bit because the wind's blowing on the inside good, but the outside of the sail is not getting good wind. So I got to adjust a little bit. If you give an assignment of game plan, someone's saying all the right things, they're doing all the right things, you think they're going to be great. You say, great, do the game plan. I'd love to see it. And they don't do it. That is a telltale. If someone is all talk and all requests and all talk and all requests and very little assignment performance, that's a telltale. Right? You're looking for telltales of accurate behavior. You know, we love everybody, but we don't have to love everyone's behavior. We believe in everybody, but we don't have to believe in someone's lack of behavior. If they're not exhibiting the right behavior, that's a telltale to you. So the key is assignments, to give them to yourself, to step up and assign yourself with them. There's no reason you can't become president of America. There's no reason you can't become the founder of the next greatest company in the world. There's no reason you can't become the top rank in DAC. There's no reason you can't be the best mother, father, sister, brother. There's no reason you can't go launch a church that becomes millions of people. There's no reason you can't start a home movement. There's no reason you can't start a YouTube channel to become an expert. There's no reason you can't do anything. If you feel the assignment was given to you, especially by God, you take that assignment, receive the assignment, and go. And go. I'm not worried what Joe Blow, top leader in the industry, says about me. God told me to do this business. I feel in prayer and in being sensitive to God's voice, DAC was birthed. So no one on this Zoom is going to take that. My wife can't pull that out of me. There's not a person alive who can pull that out of me. You know how many people have told me to get rid of free and made good, logical reasons why they should? That's not my assignment. My assignment is to be the free MLM and allow people to make full-time money without having to get a job. I don't care if it's business funding or oopty-doopty service that doesn't exist yet. It's not going to be by front-loading people on a bunch of product. It's not going to be by charging a bunch of fees. It's going to be having services or products that help people in a major way save money or have new things they've never had before. That's my assignment. So that's what is in the DNA of DAC. What's your assignment? Is your assignment to help expand that? Is your assignment to be an echo chamber for that? To take that message, David, that's good, but man, you know what you could do, what I could do with that message? Oh, I loved. There's a doctor out there, Dr. Joel Wallach, who I was a rep in his company for. I loved his message of the 90 essential nutrients. I just loved it. Still love it. I was an echo chamber for him until my assignment changed. That's it. I still take his nutrients, still believe in his message, still believe in everything he talked about, but I'm no longer an echo chamber for that. Right now, I'm an echo for DAC and you. That's what I'm here to do. So over the weekend, I was on the phone with someone. I had a lengthy call with a person who's a leader in this industry. That was my assignment yesterday while charging my car, was to call him and to talk about how his company, a solar company, might fit perfectly with DAC. And let's brainstorm a little bit. I don't want to disrupt what we're doing. So his stuff can't make us change our DNA, but if his product fits our DNA, there might be something there, right? Makes sense. Part of my assignment is to always look for services that help take the DNA, which is DAC, and make it go like this. So recognition's got to improve. That's an assignment to DAC. Contests and incentives got to improve. It's an assignment to DAC. Rep support interaction, agent support interaction, and simplicity 24/7's got to improve. So we need some bots that can answer some basic questions, because we can't ask people to work 24/7. We're not willing to right now for 2 questions, but we got to get some bots live to answer your frequently asked questions, right? Training's got to improve. It's got to become more simplified. These are assignments that we have. These are assignments. I've got a whole list of assignments that I gave myself yesterday, that I give myself all the time. And then I give priority to those assignments. So what's your assignment? I don't know what your assignment is, but I've talked about a lot. One of your assignments as a leader, if you recruit me, your assignment is to point me in the right direction. And we have proven over and over in my time, I don't have raw data to this. I just have experiential knowledge. Every single person I've ever had who made 6 figures in this industry, 100% of them, 100% of them did a game plan with me, sat down and did a private game plan, and became a project. And from day one on, exhibited the right behavior. From day one, 100% of them. So now some of them were in the industry 8 years before I met them, and they had no one ever gave them the assignment to do a game plan. No one ever sat down and did a game plan with them. No one ever took them on as a project and held them accountable to their daily activity. No one ever did that. Accountability invites it into your life. Invite it into your life and invite it into theirs. That's one of your assignments with them. So, I was a student as well. And when I was in high school, I didn't do very well. My social life mattered more than my educational life. I wasn't even thinking about going to college. I knew I was going to do what my older brother and older sisters did, which is go to drafting school and become a draftsman, designer, CAD designer, and go do my thing in General Motors, just like they were. My dad did, my brother did, my sisters did. I was going to do the same thing. So GPA didn't matter. Go to Macomb Community College, take your drafting classes, get your associate's degree, get a job at GM. You make good money. That's what I was going to do. My social life didn't matter. Ellen Wynn, I saw a post you put up yesterday of your brother mowing hay. And I started to make a comment. I said I just loved the post, but I wrote a long comment and I couldn't proofread it in my car, so I deleted it. But when I took my college placement test when I was in 10th grade, not my college placement, my job suggestion, it said I should be a farmer. And I laughed at it. I said, farmer, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go do car design. I'm not going to go farm. This was my mentality. Oh, I'm looking at property right now. I'd love to have a 5-acre farm. I'd love a 58. I want to, when I fly over Kansas and I see all those little plots of land, or I pull out a Google Maps and I go out and I see all those pixels of dark green and light green and gray and all the different colors of land plots, I go, man, I wish I would have bought a plot of land. I just wish I would have, farming would have been an awesome life. So I love the farmers on here right now. I go to the windmill store, I call it. I don't even know what it's called. I call it the windmill store. It's a farmer's outlet, and their logo's a windmill. I don't know what it's called. It's right up the road from me. I love walking through there. They sell chickens and chicks and gates and boat parts and popcorn, and they sell everything you can imagine. But I just love that. Why did I not choose that? I don't know. I chose a different assignment of network marketing, and then I chose the assignment of improving the industry by starting a company that took away all the things I didn't like about the industry. That's my assignment. So that's why I'm here. And meeting people 8 years in, 7 years into their career who then come in and have success, all of them say it's really the game plan and the project mentality that changed their life. And so if you haven't done it, and you haven't, by the way, the person who enrolled me into my career that got me out of General Motors quit. Person enrolled them, quit. Person enrolled them, quit. The person enrolled them's made about $150 million in this industry. I don't know what I've made, but it's in the tens of millions. And so the point is, between me and everyone who stayed has made tens of millions of dollars. And their upline have all made tens of millions of dollars. Everyone who quit did not. They all still have jobs where they're not making millions a year. So all I'm saying is, if you want success, you're on a highway. You know, my car, I was literally driving here and I said, I can go 190 right now. The freeway's open. But just because I can doesn't mean I should. The car will do it. The car will go 200 miles an hour. That's where the governor is. I mean, it is fast. I can go from that to that like that, literally. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can become successful in DAC doesn't mean you should. Maybe this isn't the right assignment. Maybe God's wanting you to do something else. I don't know. But if you're here, there's no speed limit. There's no upper limit to your income. Go make millions with us. Go make millions. Lead a team that does hundreds of millions of dollars in income and make 25% of it. Do you realize through 7 levels, you make 25% of all the personal incomes of all your 7 levels, even if you never reach our top ranks? Help your team make 100 million a year. You're making 25 million a year. Do you see that? Help your team make 100,000 a year. You're making 25,000 a year. Help your team make $1 million a year. You're making 250,000 a year by helping your whole team make $1 million between them. You've got an assignment and maybe you haven't seen it. But your assignment is not to be here and not win. Your assignment's win or leave. Be here and win, or find a different boat to sail on. You don't need to be here for the heck of it. You're here to win and lead others to win. You're here to give an escape route to people, to get an escape and to be an escape. That's what you're here to do. Accomplish escape and lead others to escape. That's your assignment. Or it's not, in which case, I don't know what your assignment is. Maybe it's, I just want to pay off my college debt over the next 5 years and I'm done. Great, then that's your assignment, and go get that. Whatever it is, you know what your assignment is for why you're here. Write it down, articulate it, and have a plan to make it happen, and you will make it happen. Okay, the good news is we're doing a residual run this afternoon for January for the upline residuals. It was tested at 3 a.m. It's looking good. We're doing the Giggle commissions this afternoon as well. You'll get emails by tonight for Giggle, and the money will be uploaded into anyone's cards tonight if you have a card, or tomorrow morning if you don't. So that'll be all good. And then once the January gets done, tomorrow we'll probably do February, and then March the next, and then April, May, June, all one day. So we're getting all caught up with that. I'm looking for that to be behind us. And we've got meetings starting next week with some other providers to move our wellness programs, our app program, and our divided ERC program into marketplace. So those are all things that are assignments on the corporate team that we're working on. So those are your updates. We do intend to have an ERC program that says if under a certain number of employees, there is no retainer required, and then you can earn a commission. Now, I will tell you that the customer is going to answer some questions. Some of you are going like, I completely object to a $2,500 refundable retainer. I don't want the upfront commission, and I object to using it. Okay. So if you object to that, we base it on their answers to their questions. We send them to the ERC provider based on the answers to the question. If it's 5 employees or under, we're going to send them to the no retainer required program. If it's 6 employees or higher, we're going to send them to the retainer required program. And of course, they're going to talk to someone live there, get a little more service up front. You're going to get a payment as soon as they upload all their documents, or as soon as the credit's issued to the company. You'll earn a commission. Some of you want that. Some of you are going, I will not represent this company. I came here because there's no retainer. Okay, well, when it comes time to answering the questions, if you want them to go the no retainer route, how many employees did you have? 5 or under? All that is to determine a fork in the road. They're not locked into that. They say 5 or under, or send them to no retainer play. They might have 100, 150. So we're not launching both hybrid model because we're trying to hurt you. We're trying to give you what we've been asked to give, which is the way to have higher uploadability, higher upfront commissions, and good quality service with a phone call. So those things require the retainer service, 2,500. So the good news is it's fudgeable. If you answer 5 or under, you're going the current route. You won't get a commission up front. There won't be a phone call immediately. It'll be only after all the documents and all the forms are set up. So it's a little low touch, but also no retainer. The other way has a retainer. And so I'm going to allow the system. I'm seeing the numbers and the people that are put in the $2,500 retainer, larger companies. I'm seeing the numbers there, and it seems to be performing very well. Let me just put it that way. So we're okay offering both. All right, those are all my updates. Those are all my announcements. Hopefully you have an understanding of how to perform up to your assignment and how to ask someone for assignments. So a new rep comes in, ask them to do the game plan, look for the telltales. If they don't do it, it's a telltale. Remind them again. They don't do it, it's a telltale. Remind them again. They don't do it, it's a good thing to just move on. Now, some people are just, I'm so busy, I don't need a game plan. I've already wrote down my goals. Okay, share them with me then. Share them with me. I'd love to see what you got so I know what you're looking for. What's your reason why? Have a conversation. Just have a discussion. Get to know the reason why. And if you don't do that, you can expect they're not going to have massive success, unfortunately. If you do it, you can expect they now have a shot. They have a shot. That's the way I've just seen it be for a lot of years. I know the world's changing, and I know social networking is changing things. I'm trying to become more of a user of LinkedIn. I don't know anything about it. I'm trying to use it. I go on there. I got 700 emails, people trying to sell me everything from under the sun, spam. Get nothing but spams. I don't even like opening up my LinkedIn because there's 100 people I got to ignore their email. It's just I'm full of spam. And funding companies, 1,000 funding companies trying to recruit me. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm sure you're getting recruited by every funding company on the planet. And they all promise percentages that they don't pay even us. They say it to get you to sign up, but then, oh, on this deal, we got to reduce it. On this deal, we got to reduce it. On this deal, we got to reduce it. No, you got to do this. And many of them sell the deal out the back door. I got an email the other day, said, would you like 1,000 funding packages, all with 3 months bank statements? I'll give them to you for $1,000. I'm like, you're going to give me 1,000 funding applications with bank statements, social security numbers, everything. Yeah. You think that's really legal? I think that's a lead company. That's one of these funding companies who's got an employee who's stealing data and selling it out the back door. A lot of these funding companies are startup overnight deals. They're people who left go, oh, we can do that. We can find the money. We can, and they end up having employees who steal the crap. We've had deals taken from us in the past. So you're just getting yourself in a bind. Be careful. If you're being approached by a lot, I would just say, if they're a good provider, we're already using them. We're good. And if they're one of our providers reaching out to you, what does that tell you about the integrity of that person? So, and if they are, let us know. Let us know so we can, communicate with their corporate team, and because all of them have told us they're not going to do it. So let us know if you got someone reaching out to you from one of our providers. I think that's it for right now. I'm excited about getting after my assignments today, and hopefully you are too. So Tyler, Morgan, are there any chats? I know Sharon's not with us today. She's still at that funeral. Are there any chats there or questions you need to answer before we go to open?
Not on my end.
I don't see any here either.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go to Steve Leeser. Steve, congratulations on that big funding last week.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, David. Thanks a lot. I appreciate all your support and Wade and the team support to help that make that one happen.
Sure.
First off, hey, praise God for your, and I appreciate and I agree with your #1 assignment that you've given to all of us. In fact, praise God, I can say that I fulfilled that assignment back in May of 1978, praise God. And I've just continued to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ, my Savior. So appreciate that #1 assignment. And I encourage, I say amen to that if anybody hasn't accomplished that as of yet, to look into it.
And reach out to Steve if you have. Steve is very active Steve reaches out to me periodically, promoting things, sharing things, I should say, that are important with Grace Harvest, a church that I really, or Harvest, I'm sorry, not Grace Harvest, Harvest Church, who you may have seen the movie Jesus Revolution. The pastor in there, John, has started that church, or Greg, I'm sorry, started that church from that movie as a continuation of it. And Steve is active in promoting and sharing some of the great work that's being done by Greg Laurie and his wife and many others who've come from that movement. Go ahead, Steve. What do you got for us?
Amen. Well, Revelation 3:20, Jesus Christ was knocking on the door of my heart and I opened it up. So Revelation 3:20, if you've got a Bible. But had a question for you, David, in regards to, I think either you or Wade had mentioned, I think it was yourself had mentioned it on Friday's call, in regards to the gig funding on a smaller company, that it can actually submit more than one source of income. I thought you'd mentioned if they're an Uber driver. I've got somebody right now has a small retail business, really small dollar amount. She's asked for some bigger dollars. I says, well, you don't qualify for those bigger dollars, but you need to be doing at least 3,000. So her retail store is not quite there yet, but she's an Uber driver. So how would she submit that second source of income? Is it obvious once she starts to do the gig funding, they're going to ask for all sources of income? That's my question.
Yeah, the gig funding, the system somehow knows to look for 1099 income. So it's looking at deposits that aren't W-2 deposits. I don't know how it knows the difference. So I would just tell her to include all of her income, not counting job income, not counting W-2, but anything from Uber and her business, aggregate those into one total. And that's the answer she should leave when she applies.
Okay, appreciate that.
And then the bank verification just goes in to verify what she answered.
Awesome. Thanks.
You bet. All right. Ellen Wynn, how you doing, Ellen?
I'm doing great, David. Sitting here looking out the window at my brother's hayfield.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I envy, I love how you said you guys have grown up on that farm. And he's been farming that field his whole life.
He has, absolutely. And I've ridden horses and hiked and God knows what on all of these acres. It was originally 500 acres when I was a kid. So
wow,
that farm life and your desires of having a plot of land, there's nothing like it. Irreplaceable. Hey, I got a question for you. Actually, Well, yeah, two. I'm looking at the compensation document and I see it's got a recent update of July. Can you tell us what updates were made to that document?
Yeah, so in the qualifications, it said personal qualifying revenue instead of personal residual revenue. We're minimizing, there is no PQR that's different than PRR right now. They're all one and the same. The day may come where we have a QR, a qualifying revenue with a different residual revenue, but right now they're all the same. So I just wanted to make that consistent. So that was a change. Also, some things said view details on page 3, and it was really page 7 because we changed some orders. So there was some things referring to other stuff that we modified.
Okay, perfect. Okay, on the
Nothing
comp
material.
plan. Great. On the comp plan on page 5, which is the personal bonus commissions,
Okay.
under the enroller matching bonuses, the first line on earning the 10%, it references if qualified with 200 personal residual revenue or during your first 90 days. You were talking a couple of weeks ago and referenced 60 days.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
60 or
90.
90?
It's 90.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It is 90, and I did say 60 because it used, as you know, it used to be 60.
Correct.
And by the way, this reminds me, another change was on page 4. I'm looking at it right now. The ERC bonus, 40% of bonus revenue you earn, and bonus revenue is generally 10% of the ERC amount. It used to be 50% and 20. We increased everyone's pay by, or 50% and 8%. So we increased everyone's pay by increasing the bonus revenue to 10% of the credit amount rather than only 80% of the credit amount. So, or 8%, I'm sorry. Math is getting in my head. I'm sure that makes sense to you because you don't understand it. But that was another change, is the upper right-hand corner, the instead of 50% of BR, you're only getting 40, but BR is now 10% of the credit amount rather than 8. So it's still the same number to every rep, but the upline gets paid more now because bonus revenue just went up. So the residual revenue went up as well, which means the residual pay plan got a bump of from 8% to 10% of every credit is now residual revenue.
Awesome. And last but not least, you and your mom both went to a funeral. So sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Very much. Got another one tomorrow morning, unfortunately, but appreciate it. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. All right. PK, how are you?
Well, David, that's so cool. You mentioned about with the working with Greg Laurie and the Jesus Revolution. I actually got saved at a little tiny Calvary chapel, and I got to spend a week with Pastor Chuck Smith,
Wow.
who is, the founder of Calvary. I have a photo of him and I together, and I'm not lying. He was more excited to be with me than I was to be with him. He was that authentic. And but no, I had to show him all the ins and outs of San Antonio because they had a conference here.
Love it.
But I had a question for you. Because the missing in action, I remember listening to YouTube, and you had mentioned that DAC was separating from longevity.
Yes.
Okay, so that's already happened, during my time. And so what happens to the people that were signed up with Enable and customer financing, and it was longevity who paid us? What happened to that?
Longevity paid you, but we paid longevity to pay you. So now we just pay you direct. So
okay.
Any customer finance clients that we own those customers ourselves. They're not they don't go into longevity anymore. So DAC since January has been paying that directly.
Awesome. Okay. And so I can review things in the back office, since I was out of pocket, I can review things and see anything that's been going on.
You got it. Yeah, the biggest update is, so we were part of that umbrella of companies, Longevity. We pulled out. We were using their residual pay plan and their residual qualifications. We launched our own residual pay plan. Our bonus plan pretty much stayed the same. We enhanced it, actually. We added more stuff, but we have our own residual plan now, which is now starting to get paid, the uplines. But the personal commissions have been getting paid since January. We just haven't been paying the uplines because that was being developed. It's now done being developed. And so now we'll start paying the uplines as well. But other than that, we think it's a far improved compensation plan, frankly. But it's different than what Longevity offered. But they were built for a product company, right? The nutrition supplement company. We're built as a service entity getting customers. So that's our whole focus.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's like so much better, because that makes, the customer financing didn't make sense with the other products when yours is way more in line with what you're doing and stuff.
Sure.
So thank you for answering.
You bet. Thank you. What a great story about Chuck. Never met him, but I love watching his videos. Ever seen that movie since the movie? I'd never heard of him until then. So that movie did a great job of bringing that to my attention. All right, Norma Susan, how are you?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm doing great. How are you?
Fabulous, thanks.
Great, thank you. My question is, we might not be prepared for this in today's meeting, but I was wondering if we could maybe share some success stories, some recent success stories for some of our clients, and also what the partner compensations are.
Sure, and we do that periodically. We did some of that last Wednesday. We don't do it on every call, but like I shared the other day, we had someone signed a $800,000 credit. They're going to make $32,000 on that, the rep. That was last week. We've got people who had renewals last week of $250,000, $200,000, $300,000, all of which making, nice paychecks. You can do the math.
Yeah.
And a lot of people doing $25,000, $40,000, $50,000 fundings, making 4 to 8% of that. So that's another $1,000 to $2,000, even on a $25,000 funding. So we'll start to try to bring, we got a newsletter going out this afternoon. It's got a couple of success stories in it, but there's nothing wrong with bringing a couple to the call each week too.
Thank you. Yeah, I was
Thank you,
actually
Norma.
thinking if it's possible, it might be very beneficial for us to have that as a visual or something that we can share with some of our clients. Obviously, we won't share the compensation part, but here's some of the recent success stories that David Allen Capital has had. For example, this month we did A, B, C, and D. So just a thought.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
We used to do that. And we were monitoring the number of times I got shared. And it's just another responsibility of the corporate team that was a little understaffed. And we stopped doing it because it wasn't really being shared. But I agree with you, Norma. I think it's a valuable thing and it's a great story. If we put up a post as an example, if we made a post like that every day or once a week, because you can't share a post every day, but if once a week we said, we're going to give you a couple success stories, and on Friday, share it to your social posts. And everyone did, then we keep putting that up, keep investing the time. It takes an hour to create the social graphic and have someone responsible for it. And so to make it in such a way that's shareable in a good professional way, we would do it if we found that, okay, look, several hundred people shared it. But if 7 people share it, we go, okay, we'll tell the stories and they can type a post up. So I agree with you. It would just really come down to, do we have the activity? Like the online game plan was a big request for a lot of years. I can see a lot of people don't use it. And so even though we built it, we put in the time to manage it, not a lot of people use it. And so that's why I mentioned it again today. So that's just, some of it is, doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. We built the game plan for a reason, but that's exactly why it wasn't a high priority, because I knew that I could see by how many people download the game plan sheet, how often it was going to get used, not a lot. And so the same thing with this, we did this for a while and every week we were given success stories and it didn't really get used by the agents. So we started putting that allocation toward other places. But I think that's a good idea to resume if we could just get everyone's buy-in that, hey, if you share it, I'll post it. You share it, I'll post it once a week. that's good enough. But a lot of people just don't. They don't share other social posts either. But that
Yeah,
shouldn't.
that makes sense. But even separately for, I don't know, maybe if that's just too much work for, for your staff. I'm just thinking of ways, to get more energized and get the team energized, the partners energized, like seeing, what the partners are making in commissions. I mean, obviously we're not here, we're not a charity, right? So this is,
Yeah,
this
problem
is,
is, Norma, legally you
uh-huh.
can't do that. We can't put that in print. So we can say it on calls, but we can't put stuff like that in print.
Gotcha.
Legal.
Okay.
The FTC doesn't allow it. So there's companies who do it. There's people who make photocopies of their checks and use it as enticement, but it's actually illegal and the FTC can fine you for it. So we don't do anything like that, but we can say it on a private call like this, like general information. You notice I didn't say the person's name. I'm just sharing stories, but if we print that, now we're liable to the FTC for enticement and it's not legal. So
Okay, good to know. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You bet, Norma. Thank you. But there's a lot of people making checks with commas in them. So, and it's at the benefit of helping other clients. All right, let's go to a couple more questions and we'll bring it home. James.
Hello, David.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just a question about the instant funding again.
Yeah,
$3,000 revenue monthly. Is that
minimum.
each 3 months, or is it an average of 3 months?
Their lowest in the last 3 months has to be above 3,000. So they got to
Okay.
do 3,000 plus per month. They can't just average 3,000 because if they only did 1,000 one month and 8,000 two other months, they're going to get declined.
Okay,
The
understand.
lowest monthly revenue must be 3,000 plus.
Okay, thank you. One more question on
Yeah.
the payment processing.
Yep.
So for everybody that I have, talked to as a customer, they already have payment processing. What's the best way to just talk to that customer?
You mean to reach out and try to get their attention?
Yes, they already have the payment process.
Yeah. What I would do is ask them, number one, if they're happy with their fees. Are you happy with
Okay.
what it costs? And as an example, what are you paying? If we could get you the same processing equipment, but not have the fee attached to it, would you be open to a quote? So it'd be supporting my business, especially if you know them. It'd be supporting my business and I'd be getting you the lowest fees possible. You
Okay,
interested in the quote? So really what you're looking for is, are they on cash discount processing? If they're not on cash discount processing, they're probably paying, depending upon the size of their business, anywhere from 2% up to 4% of their credit card sales is going to fees. So if they're smaller, 10,000 a month, maybe they're paying 300 a month in fees, 3%. But that's 3,600 a year on a business that's only doing 10,000 a month. That's 3% of their sales is going, they might not even be making 3% profit. So by talking about eliminating their fees is really your angle. But keeping in mind, the equipment does not have to be less quality. They can have even better equipment sometimes.
okay,
So,
okay. Thank you
right.
very much. You
And
have
then
a
if they
blessed
want to
day.
fill out a quote, they just fill out the form at your site and then the experts take over.
Okay, appreciate that answer. You have a blessed day.
You as well. Thank you. Who else we got? I think it's V and then Eric.
So this is V. I'm up. Am I heard?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yes. Happy Monday, everyone. Dave, I'd also like to add my condolences regarding these homegoing services.
Thank you.
Not easy, but it's the cycle of life, unfortunately.
Yep.
This is my second Zoom. My second question, I just chimed in on Friday for the first time ever. I don't know whether you remember my name.
Yep.
But on Friday, I said that I'm coming through on the ERC lane and I hope to be an expert. And I'm much more of an expert today than I was on Friday. And I have 3 questions. I think they're pretty straightforward. I can ask them all at once or one at a time.
Please ask all 3 and then we'll answer them.
Okay, here we go. So I chimed into that ERC Zoom with Jeremy a couple of times over the weekend. And one thing he talked about in terms of the timeline for receiving the money, anyone who was getting 300K or more, it was generally taking about 4 to 9 months. Anyone who was getting 300K or less, it was taking about 3 to 5 months. My question now is that was like, what, 6 months ago? Have those timelines decreased? And if so,
No.
to what approximately?
Great questions. No, they've not decreased. In fact, they've stabilized, sometimes gotten a little longer.
Okay. All right. Second question. What would be sort of a good objection to someone, a potential client, saying that they could have their own accountant go through this process cheaper than DAC and its partners can? I mean, our take is 20%. So if they're saying, hey, my people can beat that, what would be a good reply?
If the truth is, if they've got someone who's willing to do it already, they should use that person if it's cheaper. We never want someone to be in a worse situation. What we found is most companies charging less aren't finding credits as high. They're, I can do your ERC for you and charge you 2%, but I'm going to miss a lot of things. So my accountant himself said, I'm not educated on this. I don't want the responsibility or the liability, and I'm just not going to touch them. So he's actually, my accountant said, I'm telling people if their sales did not go down, they're not eligible. And that's not true. But for him, it's like, I don't understand it enough to take another stance. He's got thousands of clients, and that's his stance. And so I've said, don't give that stance. Don't say you're not in it. Just forward them to us. So I would just say if they've got an accountant who's willing to do it for less, then they should use their accountant. But most accountants aren't taking this on because it's a whole nother season of education, and there's no guarantee anyone's eligible for a credit. So they're going to have to pay a fee up front, non-refundable, hourly, even if they're not eligible for a fee or credit. And many times they'll just be told you're not eligible. So what I'd say to them is, hey, there's no cost to find out if you're eligible. Go to your accountant first. If your accountant will do it cheaper, do it. But if not, come see us, because we'll find out if you're eligible at no cost to you up front. Your accountant's going to charge you hourly fee to tell you if you're eligible or not. So that's the reality of the answer. And
okay. And
because some people do have accountants who will do it.
Right. And you also said that DAC is in a better position to very possibly get them more money, right?
Yeah, ERC Pros has found that as compared to independent accountants, they generally get about 20% more credit back to the customer, which is what the fee is. So it ends up being, in their eyes, a wash.
Okay, final question. This is just a reconfirmation. So churches can qualify through the government mandate side if they had W-2 employees, right?
Churches can qualify for ERC, yes. That's a great one. Churches, private schools are fantastic.
But for the reasons I've just stated, because they had W-2 employees and they may have been under government mandates.
That's accurate, and for other reasons too. But they had to have W-2 employees, but most all were under government mandates, right? Federally, we were because of social distancing. So there's a lot of entities, churches being one of them. Yes, but there's other reasons too. Those aren't the only two reasons they're eligible.
Right, but it can a church that has no school attached to it qualifies under that baseline of
absolutely.
measure.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as they didn't lay their employees off.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. That's it.
Yeah. And by the way, we've got an FAQ document. I was just typing to Tyler. We've got an ERC FAQ document that's going to be going live. It's all done. We're just putting our branding on it, and that'll be going live into the Agent Resource Center today or tomorrow. And that will be additional education that'll be very helpful as answering questions to your clients and also in our own education. We don't have one yet. It's spectacular, and I think you'll benefit from it. So look for that later today or tomorrow. FAQs under the ERC tab.
Just to chime in, that'll be up later today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next, we've got Eric Brooks. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, David. How are you doing?
Fabulous, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. First off, I wanted to say, excuse me. I wanted to say my condolences to you and your family
Thank you.
about your loss.
Thank you.
First question, no problem. First question for me is in regards to the ERC change and in regards to the change in the platform that you were saying about the retainers over 6 employees. Now, does that actually pertain to churches? Do they have to pay the retainer if they're over 6 employees or no?
Okay, so right now there's no change. It's still identical. We're just considering and planning to launch a retainer required and upfront commission available product. Right now it's not there. It'll pertain to anyone over 5 employees. It doesn't matter what type of company they are, unless they answer they have under 5 employees, and they'll go to our no retainer. They could have 700 employees, but if they say they have less than 5, they're going to go to our current provider, which is no retainer cost. So we're going to have 2 providers is what the plan is. And one charges a retainer and has phone support. So that's the plan at this point, unless something just, stops that plan. We're proceeding as if this is the leadership Zoom. So I share things here prior to them going live, knowing that you guys are at the leaders call, but that doesn't mean it's going live for sure. Something could happen next week that kills it and says, okay, we're not doing business with these people or with this company because we can't do ABC like we thought we could. So we're pulling it. But we did a vote with all of you. The vote led toward, hey, could we have upfront commissions with a retainer option? So based on that vote, we've decided to add it as an option. And now we're in development of making that come to pass. When it comes to pass, we'll give you the hard rules at that point. Right now, there's no change, and it may be 3 weeks before there is a change, right? So just know that we're moving in that direction.
Okay. Second question. Thank you, David. Second question I have is I've been pondering this for like months, and it's kind of hard for me to approach my pastor.
Yeah.
About the ERC, and I wanted to find out, do you have any suggestions how I should actually approach my pastor about it? Because I don't want to seem disrespectful or anything like that.
Yeah. First of all, I would start in your heart, right? You go to this church for a reason. So I'd start there. I'd start with, there may be money that they paid that they didn't have to pay in employee taxes, and they may not know it. And the reason I say that is because the government came back, hey, we pay taxes the government tells us we have to pay. And you don't pay more to the government than you're required to. You fill out your forms at the end of the year, says you owe this, you pay that. You don't go, I'm going to pay extra, because you pay what they tell you to pay. And your church paid what they were told to pay in 2020 and 2021. They paid what the government required they pay on their employees' income, as employment taxes. Well, the government came out later and said, hey, we didn't need all that. We're willing to give some back to you. Not everyone, but if you're a business who kept your employees on, had a reduction in sales, then we don't want all that money you gave us. We'll give some back, but they're not automatically going through and doing it. You have to do it on your own. So I know you know all this, but I'm sharing it so that when you see it, it's not disrespectful. In fact, it's integrity to go forward and say, Pastor Joe, whatever, Pastor Lisa, whatever the pastor's name is, hey, I'm just reaching out to make sure you already got the ERC credit you're probably entitled to. I don't know that you know this or not, but that's my business. We're in the business of helping businesses get their ERC credits. And I'm assuming your accountant may have already took care of it, or maybe you already got it, but I don't want to have the time expire and you not get your credit back. Did you already get the credit back? Just open the door of find out if they did, but it's integrity that you ask him. It's not disrespectful. In fact, it would be disrespectful to know that they may be overpaid, because they overpaid, and they may not have an accountant who is informing them that they overpaid and to get the money back. And that's where your role may come in, is to be the informant. And even if they say, okay, we'll call our accountant and see, and they go get your accountant gets on it, and they get the ERC through your accountant, you don't earn anything. Even if that's the case, which happens a lot. I have a lot of clients who end up using their own accountant. That's fine. I mean, they got the credit and they're thankful that I brought it to their attention, but most end up using you. So the only thing I could say is start with your heart and recognize they probably overpaid. And if you knew they overpaid on their taxes, made a mistake on their taxes, and instead of paying 100,000 in taxes, they paid 200,000, and you know they made the mistake, would you bring it to their attention that, hey, I learned that you made a mistake and you're entitled to 100,000 back? Of course you would. So they didn't make a mistake, but they did overpay because the rules changed after they made the payment, and that needs to be brought to their attention. So if you're feeling a little bit, they don't know me well, or I have so much respect for my pastor, start through the office, call the office and talk to whoever answers, or walk up at church, or put a note in the basket. However you feel comfortable starting the conversation, just make sure you take a step to start it.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Who do we have next? Is it Katie?
Is me.
How you doing, Katie?
I am freaking-tastic. How are you?
Just as good.
Awesome. So first off, celebrate those lives that were lost, because they are so totally been transformed in an awesome place now.
Amen. Thank you.
And I have a potential client who is like a fantastic photographer, and he is $5 short of the $3,000 a month. Is there any cases where Giggle has made an exception?
I don't know. I mean, I'd tell them to apply.
Okay.
But I don't know that they've ever made an exception below the 3,000. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that. I know they say the minimum is 3, and that's just the minimum, right? So
right.
Rather than me guessing, because the computer's making a decision a lot of times. So,
Mhm.
but the best thing to do is let them know that, hey, you may not, but why not give it a try? It takes 10 minutes to figure it out.
Okay.
And it would be longer to get calls, and they'd want to look at things which they're not willing to do. And so they'd probably give a hard and fast, tell them they're not approved. We don't want to invest the time into it. So may as well just put the application in and find out.
It will have her jump.
Yeah.
To your point of setting assignments. Okay.
Yeah.
That is what I've been doing. That's why I've been hiding out in YouTube on these meetings normally, because I have been setting assignments out the wazoo for my team. And I'm finding out that I only have one in my team that is like actually trying to do something. And I'm thankful for
Good.
knowing that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's you're an independent business owner and you're leading your team, and some it's the right time, some it's not, and it's the right business, some it's not. And the good
Right.
news is when all those things come in line, clicks and boom. Away
Right.
we
And
go.
then my daughter has finally decided to get off her wazoo. She's 20. She's finally decided to get off her wazoo, get all of her stuff done, get moving, because she sees me doing this every day, and she has some of the same anxiety and depression issues that I have. And she's realizing that working scared is not a bad thing.
Amen. That's
So,
you're being a good example to her. You're being a good example.
DAC has brought forth a different person within me I knew was there for a long time and just couldn't get out. And I am so thankful for that. And then to see my daughter start to evolve into that too is just so awesome. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to bring that person out of myself, and then my daughter and anybody else that I come across that needs it.
Amen. Well, let me just say this. As someone who's dealt with depression myself in the past, I can say that, when we have a purpose, that sometimes the purpose can be overwhelming because it becomes responsibility then. And sometimes responsibility creates a vibration in us of thought and misthought. It's misfiring. And the misfiring creates ideas and shame and guilt and all these thoughts of beating ourselves up or feeling like we're underperforming or asking more of ourselves, whatever it is this tension starts to grasp inside of us, which then can create a physical manifestation of anxiety, right? That starts a lot of, every anxiety is different. I'm not trying to diagnose anything. You saying this, I'm just thinking about what I've experienced myself. And so if there's anyone on here who maybe when we come to these calls, you, instead of walking away going, I'm inspired, you walk away fired toward yourself, and you're mad at yourself and you're angry at yourself and feel shamed. There's some self-talk translating what you're hearing and turning it into shame. And I'm just going to ask you to unplug that program and start plugging in the program that, you know, I've made mistakes. You've made mistakes. We've all made them. No one, Tony Robbins makes mistakes every day, and he's teaching you how to live an empowered life, right? Every president makes mistakes. Every person alive makes mistakes. There's no one who's got it down pat. Some people have just figured out a little bit on how to process things a little more smoothly. So tension is not a natural emotion. That is an unnatural emotion to a thought that is not accurate. It's an inaccurate thought. If you got tension, it's an inaccurate thought. If you've got anxious thoughts or shame, it's an inaccurate thought. It's, you know, my personal belief is it's part of our human nature, and that is only overcome. It is only overcome by, in my opinion, faith. And I really believe all the personal growth tapes, all that stuff, that's all fabulous. It can help. But I think every behavior is a spiritual behavior, and it's either inspired by the Holy Spirit or it's inspired by the opposite of, and which is our human nature or, you know, satanic forces, right? But without using words that are like Satan, what? That's scary. Just the fact of the matter is there's inspired godly spirit, and there's the opposite. And one of them is controlling the thought we have. And every behavior we have, I think, is the root of a spiritual thing. The world came from a spiritual place. It came from something spiritual. And I think every thought we have and every behavior we have is spiritual first. So if you're having tension, it may be starting with some sort of, you know, maybe we need to settle the voice we're listening to and go to a different voice. And I've always, as I tell my daughters and think to myself, if I want to hear God more, it's not about tuning into God more. It's tuning out of the world thoughts more, turning out of David's thoughts, tuning out of David's initiatives and David's agenda and David's tuning out of that, shutting that down. I can then, by turning my frequency away from that, then God's voice is always there. It's always been there. God's messaging, God's tension, God's peace. It's always there, but we can cloud it with our own stuff, right? And it's our nature to do that. That's our nature. So all I can say is I'm glad DAC has given you some purpose to go for that, as well as your daughter. And if there's times, anyone on here, if there's times, including me, yesterday was a personal day for David. I took a personal day and I spent time with God the entire day. That's what I did. And I made some business calls, but it was my time to just spend time. And my wife's doing it today. You know, we do that as a regular because we realize that is our fuel source. And he fuels me is a logo I started a long time ago because it's what I believe. Without him, you know, I'm just a bunch of egotistical thoughts that run me into a wall to get me starting a new company. And then I've already been there, done all that. So now I'm listening to God, and I don't have the tension. Don't have the tension. When it comes back, I set it down and I go to this source. So I just encourage all of you. I think it's there for everybody. And I know this isn't a church, but I share what I believe, and hopefully it attracts people who believe what we believe. And, you know, someone used to share this with me, and I used to go, come on, dude, just tell me how to market your product. Tell me how to recruit some people. Tell me how to do something. I don't need all that crap. I know Jesus. I get all that. Come on, man, we're here for business. And I used to think all that until I had my own situation. By the way, someone earlier, I know you got business questions, I'll end with this. Someone earlier, I don't know who it was, maybe it was PK, said she got saved. That word used to scare me. I just, what in the world? That's one of those born again freaks, that scared the heck out of me. And just, in the Bible, it does say that if you confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is the Son of God and died and went to heaven, you are saved. That's where that word comes from. You are saved. So that, just so you know, if you ever hear that word and it scares you, I have never found anywhere in the Bible where it tells me to do this, but I've found in the Bible where it says raise your hands in the air and state that you're saved and get baptized as an adult. So I used to do this a lot, and I can't find that anywhere in the Bible, but I can find other things that I thought were scary before. So it's just an interesting observation. So in case you heard that word and it spooked you a little bit, hopefully it didn't, but that's where it comes from. All right. We got John and Harlequin, and then a couple more, and where have we done? I won't go on any more rants.
You can go
John
ahead
Gray?
and unmute yourself, John. There we go.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm John Gray's recruiter, his mom, Angie. I'm on here because I looked up the game plan and I found the PDF. Where's the interactive part?
From the game plan, you don't want to go to the game plan document. You want to go into your agent back office. In fact, Tyler, why don't we pull the game plan document down? In fact,
I'm in the back office.
in the agent resource center, I'm sorry, in the back office, you'll see a link. I think it's under my team. Tyler, can you tell us where to find that? I haven't been there in a little while. It's in one of the drop downs.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and get off because that's all I wanted.
All right, thank you. And thanks for being here, and thanks for recruiting your son, leading him into the right company. If it's right for him anyway, we believe it's the right company for anyone who's looking for an entrepreneur opportunity and isn't felt called elsewhere. Harlequin, how are you, Harlequin?
I'm doing fabulous, David. How about yourself?
Tremendous, thank you.
Good. I've got two quick questions and then a couple of comments. One, I know last week you had said you were going to reach out and see what the updated status was on with Relevate for.
They're checking on it. They don't.
Okay.
They're in the same position. They said, let us reach out to the bank and find out, but it's not live yet. They don't have an exact date yet. It's closer, but not here.
Okay. All right. And then we still don't have an update on the pharmacy card.
No, same position as what I said earlier. I don't know that you were on yet, but I gave the update that we're still working through on the sites on that, but we do not have exact date. We're still leaning on 8/1 for our healthcare launch of the monthly insurance plan, but the healthcare membership or the pharmacy membership, we got to come up with some branding on these. The pharmacy membership might be delayed, will be delayed after that because we're awaiting them to finalize a couple things with the prescription numbers and which prescriptions are involved in that. So when it launches, it's already live. Well, if we launch something, people sign up for it or look and it doesn't include the pharmaceutical medication they want, and 7 days later it does, we've lost them for good probably. So we're waiting till it's all live before we go live ourselves. And
Okay.
they believe I believe it'll be in August. I just don't know when.
Okay.
Yep.
Looking forward to that.
Thank
And then a couple of comments. When Eric Brooks was talking about approaching his church for ERC, I've approached a couple of nonprofits about it. And the approach that I took was, hey, I don't know if you've heard about this. I just want, I know that money is always tight in a nonprofit organization or in a church. And I just want to make sure that you guys have been able to go and take advantage of this. And, and take that approach to it. And, it's like, I don't care if I help you or not, but as a member of this organization or this church, I want to make sure that you've been able to go and take advantage of it, because I know that money is tight, and that's, and take it that approach. And then the other thing, Katie was saying that she's been going and giving assignments to all of her team members. one of the things that with some coaching that I've gotten, sometimes we're super excited and we go and give assignments to our team members, and it's too big of an assignment for that person. So whenever you find out that they haven't done that assignment yet, back up and give them a smaller assignment and keep giving them a smaller one until it reaches a level where they're willing to do that, rather than just completely writing them off. Because sometimes it might be somebody who's got something else going on that they're not willing, that they're not wanting to share with other people at the moment, and they may have other time constraints on them. So if you back it up a little bit, that way you get, at least keep them engaged.
It's a good
So,
point. In
yeah.
concept, it's a great concept. I don't know what assignment is less than, answering the game plan question, but I'm sure there is one. Attend to Zoom, come to the Zoom Monday, let's see on the Friday Zoom and let's talk about it after. I mean, you can bring it down. There's no questions. There's less of an assignment. So here, I'm not going to disagree with that because that's good. And it's accurate. It's an accurate observation for getting someone to do the business. And did you have any other question or comment before
actually, what I would add to that is, in doing that process, you learn who you're going to spend one-on-one time with if they're doing the higher level assignments. And you then also know who you need to go and plug into your weekly team Zooms.
Sure.
Or
Yep.
something like that, where you're not spending as much time with them, but you're still keeping them engaged. And when timing is right for them, or, it might be that they're not really big on business funding, but they might want to do the pharmacy card or something like that.
Yep.
So,
Well,
it still keeps them engaged but that's all I had. The other comment I had is Nelson Geyer keeps raising his hand. He has a question for you. But Nelson, if you go on the bottom of your screen, if you scroll down, it will pop up some things under reactions. There's a thing that says raise hand, because he's been sitting there with his hand raised the entire time.
And thank you, Harlequin. Appreciate it, giving him some direction on that and support. If you want to reach out to him and ask him through chat what his question is as well, if he's having trouble with that. I would just comment on I'm going to make one comment on the assignment thing. 100% of what Harlequin said is accurate, and I don't disagree with it. So let me just add a caveat. I would ask what your personal assignment is. And if your personal assignment is requires you personally to reach higher ranks faster than you are, then you need to keep recruiting until you find people who will go through an assignment like filling out a game plan immediately. If you've only got people who you got to keep backing it down to, I'm nothing wrong backing it down. Harlequin's right. They may jump on a different product or something. Maybe they're not ready now and they'll be ready later. That's great. But Detroit Lions have been doing that for 30 years. And I'm being facetious because I've been a Detroit Lions fan, but don't stop recruiting because you've got 20 people who will do, I'll attend Zooms. I'll do that assignment. And then I'll do the next assignment up. I've never not made six figures in this industry from year one on, but I've never accepted not stopping personal recruiting until I had 5 doers now. And it never took me more than 6 months to find 5 doers. But my enrollers always told me, if they don't jump to assignment, do a game plan and do a game plan meeting, they plug into the general meetings, plug them into the general training, and maybe one day they'll come back and say, hey, I want to do a game plan. But you're only looking for people that want to do game plans and actually start to do the feedback. That's what I was taught. And every leader I've had that I've recruited who's made millions has done that. And I've never had someone who didn't do that have success? Never. So as much as it's a great thing that I could say in a training and it does make sense and it speaks to my heart more, I don't want to mislead people that if they're okay reducing their assignment, they're okay. That they are okay. They don't even have to do that assignment. They're welcome to come to the Zoom trainings whenever they want, come to any trainings, but you should not invest time privately into anyone who's not willing to do a game plan. That's a 5-minute, maybe 15-minute exercise for them. You don't need to invest personal time in with anybody, even if they attend the Zooms, if they're not willing to do a game plan. That's what I believe. And that's how I subscribe. I've recruited probably 500 people into DAC. Maybe 100 of them have done the game plan. The other 400 have never heard my voice except on Zooms. And they never will, because that's what I believe in. And by the way, they haven't, could I have called all of them and talked to them all and tried to get them to go to the next level? I could have, but I did that for 7 years. I don't do it anymore. I did that in the 90s. I don't do that anymore because I don't have time to give away from my family, hoping that the person who won't even do a game plan is willing to go out and do the business. I don't believe that they will. So group trainings they can come to and they can maybe go to the next level, but I just don't believe it's the case until someone proves it wrong. Now, there's obviously exceptions. Ellen Wynn, no one did a game plan with her. Right. So there's exceptions, but she did her own game plan. There's an intensity she brought day one to this business. Or at some point she said, I'm going to get after it. And so if they don't ever have the get after it mentality, then you don't have to invest personal time. We got group meetings for all of them right here. They can come. Anyone's welcome. So sorry if that seems harsh. I'll never get in shape at Planet Fitness just by following the assignment of being there, reading the magazine and using the suntanner. I won't. And unless the trainer's willing to tell me that and ask me to do it, if you're getting paid on my success, I'd be misleading you by having me just get them to show up in tan, because one day they'll work out and then I may get them into the gym, at least get them there, at least get them to the Zoom. I get it. But at some point, they got to get on the exercise bike. And I know you're not suggesting anything else, Harlequin. I just want to make sure that that's not misunderstanding where you invest your personal time. And I think you summarized that well. Helps you determine where you invest your one-on-one time. All right. The questions keep going up. So I'm just going to go to Sonia, R. Mitchell, and Nelson will be our last one. So those are just 3 questions.
Hi, happy Monday.
Thank you.
So I have a question regarding particularly the bigger funding. And
Yes.
I guess my question would be regarding the follow-up and when I should how could I put it? When I should step up and actually follow up with clients that are already in progress, and when I should just stay quiet and let, Bank Breezy do their thing.
I'd say this, I've got a client right now who's looking for $250,000. They applied Thursday. Friday, they submitted all their documents, right? So I don't need to be involved, except I threw them a text and said, congratulations, I know you're in the process. Bank Breezy team's got your back. If I can help with anything, let me know. So I sent them a text just saying that, reminding them Bank Breezy's got you. Let me know if I can help you. They've not responded. They just said thanks. So I know they're in good hands. So I would say it's a good idea to text them just that they're in the process. But I also see the status updates coming along. The documents are in, the documents got submitted, it's out for underwriting, it's getting an offer. So if you're not seeing status changes, that you got all the documents and it's been submitted, then you'd want to reach out sooner rather than later, like every day until they get their documents in. That's my personal belief, is every day a little reach out, hey, are you working on those docs? And if they go, yeah, I'm not going to get them till Monday, you don't need to call them every day between now and Monday, but you could reach out and make sure they're responding to the Bank Breezy team. The biggest issue we have is getting all the documents. And then once they get an offer, answering whether they want it or not. Those are the 2 issues. So I would say jump in if you're seeing you're not getting all the documents in, or they're not answering to the funding offer given.
So yeah, that's basically where I'm at right now. I mean, I think I have it pretty solid as far as documents go, because I have templates in place. But then I don't want to make it seem like I'm being conflicting or stepping, or we're just like, you know, coming at them at all different angles. Bank Breezy is coming at them, and then here I'm coming in, and because I'm
Sure.
only getting limited information, that's the thing. So, for example, if they just say, for example, they just received the offer.
Yeah.
So then I don't know at this point if I should do anything or just leave
You don't
it
need to
alone.
do anything. If you need to do anything is if they're non-responding. If they're responsive and it's moving along, I'd sit back and watch and let Bank Breezy do their thing. They've helped thousands of clients. They know what to say it, how to respond. If the client needs something different than they've already got, they already know how to work that out. And it doesn't help to have the agent's involvement. It doesn't, unless it's your brother and your brother's like, I really want you on the call with me. But if not, I would just, what did I say? I own Bank Breezy. I own DAC. And I said, you're in good hands with Bank Breezy. If you need anything, let me know. I'm out. And
Okay.
I just text him and congratulate him. And I'm letting Wade and Brad and the team over there talk to him. I'm out because I can't answer their questions. All I can give them is generalities.
Okay, well that answers my question. So I guess how long does Bank Breezy like follow up once an offer goes out and they haven't heard back from them? Okay.
Yeah. What they do is, so if they get, let's say they were given an offer Friday, that means they were given a phone call, an email, and a text. All three. If you got the email, they got an offer, they got all three of those on Friday, let's say. If today that status hasn't changed to client accepts offer, they're reaching out to them again. But I would, since it's been a weekend, I'd reach out and say, hey, did you see the offer in your mail? You may want to respond to it. You can do that because it's been 4 days. But if they send it Friday, let's say they send it today, you got a status update that said offer sent. I wouldn't say anything except congrats, I saw you had an offer. If you want to do that at all, I stay out of it because I don't want them asking me questions about it that I can't answer because I don't know the nature of the deal. And so I just stay out of it and let them answer. But if tomorrow that I don't get a client declined offer or offer funded, because that's where we're at. That can happen today. If I don't get that, I know they didn't respond to the offer. I'll wait, knowing that Bank Breezy is reaching out to them again tomorrow. But by the mid to end of tomorrow, I'm reaching out to them and saying, hey, did you respond to that offer? Because they've had it for 24 hours. And they may go, yeah, I'm just swamped. I haven't looked at it yet, but I know I got it. Oh, great. And then I would email Bank Breezy and tell them, hey, I talked to the client. They're going to look at the offer tomorrow, just so they know that it's being considered. But yeah, I'd stay out of it unless it's slow, unless it stalls.
Got it. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. And by the way, that anytime agents get involved, not anytime, but a lot of time, agent involvement actually insinuates things, or they say, yeah, I think we could get rid of those fees or lower those fees. Things are said, or I don't know, maybe we can. There's involvement that is meant to be helpful that actually slows down the process. And sometimes it means, okay, we got to go to a different provider, or it's usually, or agents will say something on the phone the Bank Breezy's got to disagree with, because they may say something that Bank Breezy can't guarantee, and then they got to contradict the agent, which makes the customer feel odd. So it's easier just to not have that risk. Okay, R. Mitchell, and then Nelson, and then we'll be done. Go ahead, R. Mitchell.
Hi, good afternoon. Just wanted to introduce myself. It's actually Robert Mitchell. I am a new independent agent as of last Friday. Thank you to just a conversation I had with Jerome Searles and Ellen Wynn. I guess she's my team lead. Reached out this past weekend, and I had no idea what this was. But by talking to Jerome and just backtrack, he was in my wedding 30 years ago, or 28 years ago. Hadn't really been in touch with him except for just following his story. And we spoke for like 5 hours last Thursday, and here I am now. So looking forward to getting involved, getting plugged in, and I'm going through the checklist. So I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Robert. Welcome to the family. And Thank you, Jerome. And I'm glad you guys were able to visit and old buddies and each other's weddings. I love, or he was in your wedding, I think you said. That's awesome. And glad you're with us. And Ellen's a great leader. You got a great team you're working with there. So glad to have you on the team, Robert. Let's go to Nelson. And Nelson, you'll be able to ask a question or comment for the day.
Can you hear me, David?
Loud and clear.
All right. First of all, Harlequin, thank you for directing me to reactions. I usually avoid reactions and favor response, so I guess I didn't use that button right, but it worked. David, I've been recovering money through R&D and ERC programs for the last 3.5 years.
Yep.
Multiple millions of dollars. And I wanted to set up a private conversation with you and give you the benefit of my experience, which might help you in some of the decisions that you're about to make coming up that I've been listening to the last couple of weeks. I'm a new agent with you 1 month. Chris Goodlow brought me in, longtime friend and associate, and I know you've talked to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nelson, I'd love to talk to you, and I appreciate you being willing to share your experience. R&D credits and ERC credits in 3 years, a lot more experience than we have. So I'd love to hear anything you want to share.
The biggest misunderstanding is that all these tax preparers and CPAs, first of all, they never read the 200-page IRS circular that's out, and I don't blame them. But they go on the initial definition that you have to suffer a loss of gross revenue. That is no longer true. It's either or impact. And the impact is subject to a lot of interpretation. And I've gotten a lot of money for businesses under that clause, where the impact.
Absolutely.
So
I
please
agree with you and appreciate it. Why don't you, if you could send me an email, Nelson, to david@davidallencapital.com, and we'll set up a private call.
Great. I'll copy you on the email I sent you last Friday.
You sent one Friday?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did send you one email, and I'll copy you on that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate it, Nelson.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, folks, that's everything today. I appreciate all of you being here a little longer than normal. Let's all get to our assignments. That's what we started with. Give ourselves assignments. Hopefully you're getting them from a faith perspective or a purpose perspective that makes you feel on purpose for doing this. And then it's easier to answer that assignment. When I think it was John asked about approaching the church, you notice I started with the heart space because that's what inspires me always to act. I never do it for the dollars and cents, unfortunately or fortunately. It's always from the motive of how it's benefiting them. And if someone's better off going to their bank, by golly, they should. If someone getting the ERC credit because their brother's an accountant and understands how to do it, they don't have to pay anything, they should. If someone's already got payment processing on cash discounting and it would cost them money to switch equipment and we're not going to save them any money, they shouldn't switch. And, it's common sense. And if someone needs to get some capital to grow their business, they need to know about us. And if someone wants to be involved in their own home-based business, they need to know about us because we already know all the ins and outs of the space, and we can help avoid a lot of the traps that exist out there. God bless you all. Have a great